Welcome back, guys, to the podcast with your host, Tux and Zach.
Hey
Welcome back.
guys, welcome to Digital Pen Pals Podcast. Happy New Year's!
Yeah, Happy New Year's, guys. 2021. This is the year.
Yeah, we're recording this on January 1st, so we're hyped. We're hyped for 2021. It's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
our year.
I'm taking vitamins and I feel stoked.
I just ate Taco Bell and I'm feeling stoked as well.
Maybe not as good stoked, but yeah. Because
So
Taco
we
Bell.
all we all hope you guys had an awesome 2020. I know it was a pretty lame year, but this year is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a great time. You're gonna grow. We're gonna grow. We're all gonna learn together and have a great time.
Oh, yeah.
And in that spirit, we have an awesome theme for you guys today. Zach, what is our theme for today's podcast?
Our theme today is about goals and motivation and all the things that go along with it. I'm super stoked, just like Lincoln said. This year is going to be awesome, and for me, I feel like 2020 it did stink a lot, but at the same time, there was so much that started for me at least, and I know for Lincoln as well. We both, I feel like, hit the mentality of like, let's just do this, and the drive just started from there. And I feel like 2021, it's all about the mindset. There's outside forces, but what we can focus on are our goals.
We built an awesome foundation in 2020, and 2021 we're hitting the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
So, Zach, why are goals important?
So goals are so important because if it's not stated, then you're never going to do it. And goals are both a statement of what you want to do, and they also reflect your motivation behind why you want to do those things. And so goals are essential to progress yourself and to accomplish those things you want to. And each goal you accomplish gets you a little bit closer to the end result. And goal setting is something that a lot of people do at the beginning of the year. It's usually a joke where like, oh yeah, my New Year's resolutions are already over. Like I've quit on day one or a week later. And so goal setting is important to understand and not to just like have some sort of pinned, I'm going to do X thing, but also more specific things, because I feel like a lot of times that's why people abandon their goals, is because they don't have a realistic or like a reasonable way to accomplish those goals.
And there are so many type of goals out there. There's personal goals, there's educational goals, there's creative goals, spiritual goals. There's so many goals out there, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. So we're going to talk about some of the goals that we've done in our life that have helped us. Zach, do you have any examples of any goals that have helped you in your life?
Oh yeah. So
Sorry to put you
there's
on the
been
spot
many,
there.
yeah, there's been many goals. Um, but I think I guess if we're talking about last year, I think one of the biggest goals that I was able to accomplish was to be more consistent on TikTok, to be posting more often, because I think that overall just helped me. It increased the ability that I had and that muscle to be creative, and I was flexing that muscle every single day, multiple times, just like working out. Um, and I was able to better articulate with, this goes along with like streaming and stuff as well, I guess too, but it's kind of all bulked together. But just being able to speak for hours on streams, either if that's on TikTok or if it's on Twitch, or whether that's me trying to make content, trying to make tutorials, trying to make any sorts of videos I can think about that might be helpful to other people. It really got me to the point where I was creating, 3, almost 9 a day at one point, to like kind of burnt out on that. But it just helped me become so creative, and it just made me realize all the things that I learned from TikTok, making that short form content, that I could take over to making YouTube content as well, that it's a little bit longer. And I just learned so much doing that, and that's been like the biggest thing for me. And it was such a small goal, but there were so many extra things that I didn't even predict that I would learn that I did this year, or I guess last year.
Yeah, and I love TikTok as well so much because it's not super difficult to do a lot of the things that people are recommending, like make multiple videos a day and stuff. But once you start getting in that groove, getting in that habit, you're like, oh, this is actually super easy. I can sit down for like 10 minutes and pump out 5 of these things. And then you're like, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more. And so then you're finally able to transition and start doing like YouTube videos, and you're more comfortable doing streams and stuff. One similar to you, I had a similar experience with TikTok and goals. Um, and so I'm gonna tell you guys about an acronym for goals that I used that helped me grow on TikTok. And I just hit 21K yesterday, right at the end of the
Congrats.
New Year's, and I'm so hyped on TikTok, and it's awesome, and you guys are the best. But we're gonna talk about SMART goals. So each of these letters means something. So SMART. So S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, R stands for realistic, and T stands for time bound. So my goal on TikTok was to make more content and be more consistent. But that's not so much of a goal because it's like, okay, those are two very vague terms. What does that mean? And some people with goals will stop there and they'll be like, oh, my goal this year is to be consistent. My goal this year is to make more content. And they get to the end of the year and they're like, I was more consistent than last year. Oh, I made some content, so I'm good. But let's use this SMART to figure out a goal for that. So to be more consistent and make more content, I set the goal for myself to post 3 TikToks every day. And of course, I failed that multiple days. But a lot of days, it worked out. And because of that, I grew. So let's go through each of the letters of SMART, and I'll explain how my goal of 3 TikToks a day fits in with this. So we have S, so specific. So that is a video. So it's like I'm making a video. That is the specifics of it. M is measurable. So we measure it by 3, the number 3. So we're making 3 of them. Attainable. So this is something where it's like you want to be able to attain it, get it, but not super easy. So make sure you're challenging yourself. But that brings us to the next letter, R, realistic. You don't want to be pushing yourself too hard. You got to be honest with yourself. Like I could have said, I want to do 10 TikToks a day, and that's my goal. But that is not realistic because that's very time consuming, and it's hard enough thinking of 3 video ideas as is a day.
Yeah, let me tell you from experience, that doesn't work out too hot. But it does
Yeah.
work, but it's very hard.
And you'll get burnt out too. Maybe I'll be making 10 videos a day and then I'm just exhausted after doing it for 2 days and I'm running out of ideas and I'm like, I'm just going to give up on this. And then your consistency's gone. And the original goal was to make more content and be more consistent. So you got to be realistic and be honest with yourself. You know yourself the best. So you got to set realistic goals for you. If you can't do 3 videos a day, then do a video a day or do 3 videos a week, and that'll be enough, and then slowly ramp it up as you get more comfortable and more used to it. I used to be at a point where I was doing 1 video a day. Now I'm doing 3 a day, and even more. And then the last one is time bound. So we have the part of the goal that says 8 day. Having a time bound quantity to the goal is a good way to give yourself a deadline, to kind of keep yourself accountable. So, for example, my goal, 3 TikToks a day. I know when I don't meet that goal. It's not some vague, oh, I kind of met the goal, I kind of didn't, I guess I did. No, it's either I hit the goal or I didn't hit the goal. And that's how your goals should be if you want to grow through them. Now, of course, you can set goals where they aren't super specific and they're not super time bound, but they're going to be less effective. So using this acronym is a good way to turn a vague goal into a specific goal. And it may take a bit of sitting down, a bit of brainstorming to do that. But I would recommend it, and it's worked for me, and it's helped me grow my TikTok and grow as a person and made myself more used to content creation. Because I tell that to so many people. I say, hey, make 3 TikToks a day. That's a good thing to start out. And a few people said, I don't have those ideas. That's too difficult. I don't have that time. But when you keep doing it, you'll have more ideas as you create more content, and it kind of puts you in the space, and you slowly get to a point where you're more comfortable with it. Whereas now for me, it's just kind of second nature. I get home from work or I wake up and I'm like, I have an idea for a video. Boom, let's make it. And I pump it out because I've made hundreds of videos before, and now I know how to do it super fast. I'm super used to it. And every time I make a new video, I get better and better.
Oh yeah, I would completely like second that. Like just like I said with it, flexing that creative muscle, it becomes second nature, and that's what I've experienced as well. When I first started out, I was still kind of used to making like YouTube videos and things like that every so often, but I still was kind of out of the loop of doing that because, I just making YouTube videos was just so time consuming. It's just a bigger project versus TikTok is just very simplistic. And for me too, it's just like, you start to have these ideas and they start boiling all of a sudden and they just pop out of nowhere, and it's kind of insane because you think you're going to run out of juice, but you never actually do if you do it right. And that's why, having realistic goals is good, because if you get to the point where you're burnt out, you kind of get to the point, it's more of a mental state of feeling unmotivated because you feel like all the juice is gone. But if you do it slow enough, you're able to keep producing that. It's like, honeybees or something. They produce so much honey at a time. You don't want to keep taking all the honey that they make exactly in that moment. You kind of want to space it out, and every so often you go and collect some honey, but you still leave some honey in the hive for the bees. And so I guess if you sort of look at that imperfect analogy to your mind, to be creative, you have to kind of like let yourself get as much as you can out, but don't take out too much. Let yourself have some space.
Because
And
burnout is real.
yeah, it is so real. And I didn't think I'd be experiencing it so soon, but I was for a while there, kind of like distraught and feeling like a little empty.
Because
But
you were
I,
just
I
making so many videos a day, weren't you?
oh yeah, I was making so many. It was insane.
I would open my TikTok and I'd like get like 5 recommended videos from you. I'd click on your account. I'm like, that's 10 videos from Zach. Like,
Yeah.
this man's unhuman.
I know, it was insane. I mean, but again, that is something that I could still do. Like technically, I could do that. I would just have to let myself get to that point where I'm so used to being creative that my brain can just start to think of anything. And it got to the point where I was just looking around my room, being like, "Is there some random product or some random tip that I could give artists?" And just like, I just started doing whatever came to mind and looking around my room. But yeah, it definitely burnout's real. And so like with these goals, it's so important to just remember to keep it realistic, but to also stretch yourself, because if you think about it, we're so much more powerful and so much more in control of what we do than you think. And that's why I got into the mindset last year where there's so many outside things, and there still are at the point. Like, it's not like, the new year wiped clean everything. There's still so many residual things going on in the world, but you're in control of what you do, especially with content creation and making art. You get to say what you do. You're in control of that. And to blame outside sources as an excuse to not do something, it's kind of ridiculous if you want a very blunt and honest opinion. And so that's why this year I feel I've reached I've attained so much in the last half of this last year, and I realized that. And so going into this new year, I'm like, there's literally no excuses. Like, I don't care if it takes a lot of my time. I'm still going to make sure they're realistic goals to where I still have free time, so I don't, take out all the honey out of my creative brain, hive of a brain. But it's just, it can happen. And that's what's so incredible. It's just, you guys need to believe in yourselves, because if you don't, it's just so sad. Because it's like, if you would just do one thing a day, or just have one simple goal, even if you didn't make that goal perfect, even if some days you missed out on attaining that goal, the fact that you keep trying is the whole point. You just have to keep trying, and trying is what counts. And I had this epiphany the other night too. I know I'm kind of going on a rant here, but there, I was like driving home, and it was just after New Year's, and I was driving home, around like, it was like 2 a.m. or something, right? And it hit me that, we always focus on success so much, and we view it as the goal. But I can't talk. Success isn't the goal, but the fact is, trying is the goal. Because as humans, to get ourselves to try is so hard. And so I think if you're trying, that equals success. And trying and trial and error come before success. So if you're trying stuff and you're running into a lot of walls and you're having a lot of errors while trying to accomplish your goals, then that's a good thing. There's supposed to be that sort of conflict, because you're not going to be able to attain anything and be successful unless you go through that. And that's just, something that I found. If I run into opposition and I realize that it's hard, I'm like, well, good. That means that on the other side, this success is there. It's real and attainable. And so for me, that's like been my mindset now, is like, gun ho, like, let's go. This year is the year that everything's going to happen, and it's all up to what I decide to do.
Oh, I am so excited for this year.
Oh yeah.
Last year I reached out to a lot of my favorite creators, and I wanted to do projects with them, and I pretty much didn't hear back from a lot of them except for 2. Well, technically three, but the third one was a close friend. Um, but I heard back from two of them, and I got to work with like some of my favorite people ever and people that I look up to so much, and it's so surreal that I just put myself out there and I sent a lot of emails, I sent a lot of messages, I put a lot of work in, and I'm specifically being vague. I can't talk about the stuff I've done with these people yet because they haven't announced anything. But it's so exciting, hitting a wall so many times and getting an email back that says sorry we're not interested, or a message back that says oh no thanks we're good we already have someone, or just no reply at all. But then the messages that I got back of people saying oh yeah I'll try you out, and then the project on my end at least is done, and the creator seeing what I created, and the creator seeing wow this person did some good work, and now they're basically ready to launch their product, and I'm just so excited. But it's something that you can achieve if you just go at it and you go. You're going to fail. You're going to hit opposition this year. But just like Zach said, you guys got this. We got this.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I reverberate like or reiterate. I mean, that don't think that this is like our gun ho attitude is like oh don't expect yourself to be like every single day grinding and stuff. But these we're just talking in motivational terms. Like this is how we feel on the inside of like how excited we are for the new year and the things that we can obtain and accomplish as human beings with our creative talents. But that's also not to say that realistically the goals are small and they're very minimal every single day. They're very tiny, but at the end of a whole year it's insane what you can accomplish. And I pretty much me and Lincoln kind of started doing everything sort of around the same time. Like I've been kind of going on and off for a few years trying to do like YouTube, but when we started doing TikTok and stuff like that, we were almost around the same spot when we started. And just look how much we've been able to obtain in the last like 7 or 8 months, right? It's
Yeah, I've only
insane.
been making content since August, really.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
just hit 21K, and that is
It's
surreal to me.
insane. It's insane. And then all it
And
takes is just the initiative and just to start trying.
just consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's like I try a
yeah,
little
we're,
bit
we're
every
not
day.
saying we're not saying we're perfect, and we're not here to brag. Last week I missed it. I missed probably multiple days of not hitting my 3 TikToks a day.
Right,
That's
exactly.
that's one of my weaknesses is charting these goals down. Like I have these goals, I have them written down on a piece of paper, and that's another thing. Quick little tip: writing down goals physically on a piece of paper, um, I've found is a better way. I don't know where I heard to do this, by the way. It was just a thing I heard from probably some church or school or something. But writing down a goal, it turns it physical and it cements it more in your mind. And even better, putting that goal up on a wall. So I know a lot of people use whiteboards. I don't like whiteboards, but a lot of people use whiteboards to put down their goals. Um, and that's a good option. I like to use sticky notes and just put them up and be like, boom, this is my goal. I'm gonna do it. So every time I walk out of my room, I see that, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta do this. I got this. But you should write down your goals. Where was I
Right.
before this? I forgot what I was talking about before that.
Well, like I think we were just talking about how you know it's like it's realistic to miss days. Like I think that's important. Like
Oh
and
yes,
that's what I was trying to get
yes.
at
We're
is
not
that
perfect.
yeah, we're not perfect. I'm not saying that we're like,
Wait, no,
perfectly
actually, we are
consistent.
perfect. We're the perfect creators ever.
No. But it is realistic. That's the whole point of realistic goals is you're going to be realistic and be like, "Hey, I'm human and some days I might just like completely forget for whatever reason." But it's not, not to the point where it gets you down where you stop trying. And I think you can be perfect in trying. And that's like you're perfect at being imperfect, but the thing is you keep progressing, you keep trying. And I think that's what me and Lincoln can say. Like I think anyone can say that if you're trying consistently, even though you're missing a day or a week or something on getting your goals, as long as you jump back on that horse and you keep trying a little bit again, like that, you're successful. That's a win in my opinion.
And that's why consistency with goals and with content creation and everything is probably one of the most important things. And I will tell it's isn't probably the most important thing. I will say it is the most important thing is being consistent, because a lot of content creation relies on luck. Like Zach just recently hit 6,000 followers. I recently hit 21K. But I think Zach's content is a lot better than me on TikTok, and I think he deserves a lot more followers.
Oh, thanks.
For some reason, my videos just showed up on a For You page for some algorithmic reasoning.
Yeah.
So consistency is really what it takes, and I I'm sure one day Zach will pull ahead of me, and then I'll pull ahead of him, and it'll be back and forth. But like,
Hmm.
doesn't matter.
That's the fun of it, is that we get to keep being competitive with each other. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. Because, like, seeing your, not to, like, make numbers a big deal, but just I would look at your page and your numbers and stuff, and I'd be like, I want to try to hit those amount of views, and I want to try to hit that number of followers. I want to get that to that point.
Yeah,
And
I
so
feel
that's,
like
like,
your
been my
videos.
goal,
It's really bizarre. Like your videos do like almost the same as mine.
right?
Like it's crazy. Oh, that's another tip with goals. Don't really set goals for follower counts because
Mm-hmm.
follower count goals, like count goals, all that stuff. It's good to put on your profile and say like, "Hey guys, let's hit this number," but don't. It's dangerous. Is basically what I'm saying. You don't want to set yourself up too much. So I had a soft goal of I want to hit 20K by the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at 15K at the beginning of December, and I'm like, I'll probably not hit the goal, but whatever. If you say I want to hit say 100K by say I want to say hit 100K by the end of 2021, that could be a potentially dangerous goal if I get myself too hyped up on it, because if I don't get towards that, I could potentially get discouraged and I might give up. So any like number based goal based on followers or anything that could be chalked up to algorithms, you don't necessarily want to set goals like that because it can be very damaging to like your self-esteem, to your motivation. So be very careful with that. I would focus more on, hey, I'm going to create a video that I think is a quality video. So if me and Zach want to do a video a month for the Digital Pen Pals podcast YouTube channel, which is something we've been talking about.
Hint, hint.
um, if hypothetically we had talked
Hypothetically, of
before
course.
this podcast and said, hey, let's do a video a month outside of our podcasts, our goal with that wouldn't be let's make a video and get 100 views on each one, or let's make a video and get 1,000 views on each one. It would be let's make a video that we're proud of, that we're proud to present to our viewers, to our friends, to our family, and let's just make one of those a month. The numbers are great to look at, but our goal isn't the numbers. Our goal is, hey, let's do this.
Right. And I know I've done that too, like, and I guess soft goals is a good way to put that, like when it comes to maybe numerical stuff. Like again, it's not like the best thing to do, and I know that going into it, but like this last year, because it was kind of like a last minute decision, because seen how fast my account was growing, and it was kind of excelling a little bit faster than normal because I started getting into a pattern with it. And so I had like sort of a soft goal. I was like, I'm like, honestly, I have a goal. I know it's insane, and I can't control it because you can't depend on anything when it comes to the analytical stuff of like side of TikTok or whatever, or followers. You can't control what people do. You can only control the content you're making. But I had like a soft goal. I was like, I want to hit 10K. That would be awesome, because I feel like that's like my next, like almost like next stage. First stage was starting, getting to 1,000 to be able to live stream on TikTok, and then next was like 5K would be cool because that's halfway to 10. And 10K is like the point where I'm like, I feel like that's the big boy zone. You know what I mean? Because that's where Lincoln's at. And so not to be like dependent on like, if I don't hit that, that means I failed or something. But like for me, it was just like, I really want to hit that. And I might not hit it by the end of the year, which I didn't. But just now I hit like almost 2,000 followers or something the last few days, and it made me realize, I'm like, it's still attainable. It's just I didn't hit the time span because I can't control that. But I can control what I'm seeing working and keep making that content that's working. And now I'm at the point too where I'm like, I'm like, honestly, by next week, if I work hard enough and I get enough videos out every day, I could realistically probably make it to 10K as long as I get a few more viral videos going, just like the last one that's going on right now. And so I think numerical is a bad idea overall, but it can sort of be like a stepping stone to be like, okay, I want
More
to
like a
make it
fun thing.
here. Yeah, it's more like a
It's
fun
a
thing.
thing
So
to
I
get
kind of
you
make it like a
excited.
fun goal. I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not gonna feel bad if I don't hit it. But I'm like, oh man, it'd be so cool to hit 10K. Let's like just like keep myself motivated and think about that because it'd be so cool to see 10K on my account or something. And so that's kind of like been mine's mindset. And like I'm not upset that I haven't hit it. I'm just more antsy to be like, ooh, I want to hit that. And eventually I will. But it just keeps me going.
So Zach, do you have any big goals that are smart for this
Hmm.
upcoming year?
The acronym, yes. Um, so I do have a goal that you've kind of helped set out for me, because you've helped me realize that there's such a big demand or success rate for these kind of things. But I really want to start a Kickstarter, and I've never done one. But as I've looked into it and you've like showed me around, and I've been thinking about it, I've come up with a basic Kickstarter that I think will be really good if I do it correctly. And even if it doesn't get funded, because this is why, goals are important, but, also they're not going to make or break your happiness. I'm not going to be upset if a Kickstarter doesn't get funded. I'll be like, oh, bummer, that
I'll be
stinks. I'll
upset.
try
I'll
again.
be really upset if your Kickstarter doesn't get funded.
I
I
know,
might
right?
quit the
It should.
podcast.
It should. By all means, it should get funded. But the way Kickstarter works is you present a project that's basically hypothetical. Hey, I have this idea. Here are the designs. Here's what I'm going to do. And as long as you detail it out right and you show good enough examples and have good enough quality workmanship in what you present to the people, usually people will be like, oh, I'm all for that. I'm going to fund that because I want that product or I want that thing. And so for me, I want to make art pins, like Lincoln's been doing. And I thought a great way to do that, especially because I'm like, putting the money up front to produce those pins and to hope that they sell.
It
Um,
can get a little pricey.
yeah, and I just wasn't willing to do that just yet because I already tried that with my art stickers, and I'm still waiting on those to hopefully pick up more traction and get more notice from people. Um, but I've basically barely made my money back in what I put into the stickers, and this is over the course of like 6 months. And so I'm not really willing to go even bigger on pins yet. And so a Kickstarter, the nice part about it is you can get into it for basically free as long, I mean, besides the labor to create the project, right, to make the artwork and things and present everything. And so basically I'm going to present art pins that are based on, they have their own stories, the individual characters are related to each other. And so that's what makes the pins really fun, is that they're in this whole little world, and they're all based off of like kind of like a D&D bard. And so they're like magical musicians basically, and there's this whole idea behind it. And so basically I'm going to plan that out and get a story made, and like, maybe like a world map and things like that that I'll present. So it's going to include me doing artwork for characters, artwork for the world, and typing stuff. I'm going to have to be writing stuff for the story and explaining what the Kickstarter is, figure out different like tiers that people can get into for the Kickstarter. Be like, oh, I want to pledge this much money, and it means I'll get X amount of things or something from the project, right? And so basically for the SMART acronym, we're looking at specifics, right? So, and I don't know that I've ever used this specific acronym before, but I'm gonna try
But
my
it's
best.
really
This is,
easy to apply to
yeah,
a goal, and it can really enhance your goal if you like write it down and be like, oh, maybe this goal isn't time bound. Let me make it time bound. Or maybe
right,
this goal isn't super measurable. Let me make it measurable.
right. So for this example, just like you can do this at home. Like if you have a goal in mind already, you can do this in your mind with me. Specific
And that's actually a
is
challenge that we're giving to you right now. Write down SMART. Write down specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, and then write down a goal that you have for 2021. I don't care how vague it is, how specific it is, but write that goal down. So, for example, uh, I want to get into cosplay. Boom. Now you think you go through each acronym and put it down how you can attain that. And if you're missing one of the letters, then figure out how you can get that. Sorry to cut you off, Zach. Keep going. So
oh,
we're
you're
gonna
good.
we're gonna do it with Zach's Kickstarter here.
Yeah, but do it at whatever goal you have in mind, if that's your thing. So specific, my goal is to start a Kickstarter. Whether or not that funds or not, I just want to get a Kickstarter out. And Lincoln, you can correct me if I'm missing something here. And measurable. Measurable is the amount of, I guess it would be kind of the amount of work. I
I
think.
think the measurable part would be like the measure of success. So it's like how did the Kickstarter fund or did it not? So I think that's the measurable
Okay.
part.
Oh,
And to
okay.
add on to the specific part, like the specifics is what the Kickstarter is. So the
Mm,
specific is it's a D&D based enamel pin Kickstarter based on
okay.
bards.
Okay. So that,
So that's the S and the
and
M.
yeah, the S and the M. Attainable. So that would include like what I'm actually doing for it, right?
Yeah. So it seemed like it's so work towards a goal that's challenging but possible. So it's like this
Mm-hmm.
goal for you is time consuming and it's something that you probably haven't really done before. Like
Right.
I couldn't say whether or not you've made a cohesive world and a cast of characters, but it's
Right.
something that's challenging for you. But it's definitely within your skill set. You went to school for this stuff, so
Right.
it's definitely gonna challenge you. But it's extremely possible.
Right. And yeah, and that kind of goes along with like, why I'm doing it. I want to become a better artist. I eventually want to be able to make my own comics and set extra goals in the future for those kind of things. And so world building and creating characters and especially landscapes are very difficult for me. So I want to get better at that. And so this is going to be really good practice for me to create stories and to create things that people will like, because it'll be a good gauge for me to figure out in the future, if I make a comic, how do I make it so that people like it and will actually come back to it to read it every week if I post it on Webtoons or something, let's say. um, but yeah, and then for realistic, I guess that's like how I'm actually going to fulfill the
Yeah.
goal, right?
So be honest with
Yeah.
yourself, Zach. Do you have the means to do this? Do you know yourself? Are you capable of, or do you know that you can do this?
Yes.
Do you have the means of doing it? Then it's a realistic goal.
Yeah.
There is
And
nothing
so
holding you
I'm
back from
basically
doing
breaking
this.
it down since I stream on Twitch and on TikTok. I'm like, oh, sweet, this is extra content. I can, I mean, it also kind of relates to other goals that I have, like posting on TikTok as well. So I'm like, there's things I can do while I'm designing things that I can stream it while I'm designing it, and that's content. And so for me, it's going to take a lot of time, but it's actually really realistic because I'm a streamer. And so that's actually really good because now I have content to stream. And so it's a double whammy for me. So that's awesome. That's why it makes it extra realistic for me. And so
Now,
time.
yeah. So T, give yourself a deadline. You don't have to announce your deadline right now if
Mm-hmm.
you already have one, or if you don't, you don't have to say that either. But
Mm-hmm.
this is something that can it be time bound, Zach? Can you put a time
Yes,
to
it
this
can.
goal?
I feel like, because like from what you've told me, the basic, hot times to post a Kickstarter and get it funded is typically the beginning of the year, because that's kind of the time span people are usually interested in Kickstarters. Um, and so and that's not official or anything, obviously, but I'm expecting to at least get the design stuff done, um, and the world building stuff at least by the end of this month, and to hopefully get it posted and up and running around February.
Now, is that a I hope to, or is that I'm going to get these done by the end of the month? Is it a time bound goal? The time
Hmm.
bound goal is something you want to set yourself to, but be realistic with it. And you don't have to decide this right now,
Right.
but remember that when setting your goals, everyone, is you need to be like, hey, it's a time bound goal. This is the time that it's going to be done by, because you got
Right.
to keep yourself accountable. You got to be like, oh, this is my deadline. That's kind of why, like, as much as I hate homework from school, that's why they give out homework with due dates, because it's a time bound goal. If a teacher just gave you all of the homework at the very beginning of the year and said, do this, and you never did it, and now it's the end of the year, and the teacher's like, hey, do you have your stuff done? Well, you're going to be cramming now. Now, compare that to you got an assignment every week for the whole year, and it was due at the end of the week. It's a lot more manageable for you. You're going to be less stressed out, and I think setting a bunch of smaller goals within the time span is a good practice, because you can be like, okay, I want to do this thing by the end of the month. Now let's break it down. Every week we're going to do this part. And then let's break it down further. Every day we're going to do this part. And then you break it down further. I'm going to do this part at this time in the day and it's going to take me this long. Boom. You've just like split it up and you break down every section of it and you do that smart thing every single time. And so you can take this SMART acronym and apply it to a goal and zoom in on the goal as many times in the time span and just keep applying it. And it'll help you be more precise with your goals. It'll help you be more accountable with your goals, and it'll just help you overall. I've found this to work a lot.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's good to break things up. So, like for my project, for example, I'm thinking of, I'm gonna have X amount of characters, which is kind of undecided still. This is all still like, pretty much uh, theoretical at this point
That's
because
a
I have a
bare
few
idea.
designs, but nothing's in stone. But I'm gonna have X amount of characters. So, how long does it take me to design a character? Okay, X amount of time, and then I can start to divide stuff up. Oh, I need to do graphic design. Once I'm finished with all the designs, I have to start looking at the graphics and like making the font and typing the story out and stuff and preparing it to post onto the Kickstarter. How long is that going to take me? So those things are really good. Um, but yeah, for me, I think reviewing those goals and like Lincoln said, having them written down. I kind of am sort of like I guess sort of ambidextrous and to use a word I guess because sometimes I will have stuff written down, but I'll also have things like recently I wrote my 2021 goals on a Google Doc. And for me, that's helpful because I can review it on my phone, on my iPad, on the computer, wherever I am. If I'm near a device, I can always access the goals and I can add stuff or change it, or I can look at it and remind myself, what my vision is for the year. And that is why goals are important is it gives you a vision, it gives you a direction, because if you're wandering in the desert you're not going to get anywhere, but if you have a point on the horizon that you're staring at, you're going to get there, whether you kind of stray to the left a little bit or to the right, you're going in a direction rather than going around in circles.
And there are
And
so many tools out there for you guys to use. So figure out what works best for you. I say I don't like using a whiteboard and dry erase markers, and I don't say that just because I don't like them. I say that because I've tried using one for like 3 months when I lived by myself, and I did not like using a whiteboard. And I eventually just stopped using the whiteboard and went to sticky notes. So try new things. Try all the tools out there. I'm sure there's all sorts of goal setting apps. There's alarms on your phone. There's whiteboards. There's Google Docs. Everything. So if you don't quite know what works best for you, just go ahead and start trying everything.
right,
Pick out something
whether
that you think.
that's simple or complex,
Yeah.
I try to go on more simplistic terms and just have like a couple, sections. Like my goals, I have like three sections. One is like my actual goals, like specific things I want to accomplish. Then I have summarized things, just like literally out of all the huge paragraph or list of things I want to do. I have it summarized in three main principles of what I want to follow this year. And then I have a third part of my goals that just explain why do I want to do this? What's my motive behind it? What do I hope to feel? What do I hope that it changes me as a person? And for me, that simplicity kind of breaks things down evenly for me so I can understand them better. But it for me that works. For someone else that might not work. And so you got to find, just like Lincoln said, what works for you specifically. And you just do have to try. You have to try different things. And if they don't work, then you're like, okay, my mind doesn't work like this, or this isn't helping me. This is stressing me out. Find something else that might work.
Goals are important. Goals work.
Oh yeah.
2021 is going to be a great year, you guys. Thank you
Oh
so
yeah.
much for joining us in 2020. And thanks for listening to the podcast. Do you have anything else to add before we close up, Zach?
Just thank you guys. Like on the other end of, making the podcast, it's been incredible to see your guys' support and to see how much the podcast has grown, because I know how hard it is for things to pick up on YouTube, and you guys have been nothing but amazing. And I'm just so grateful for you guys, and I I'm just super excited to hear, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I love drawing to the podcast while I'm listening." And that's just amazing
That's my
because
favorite thing to hear, honestly.
yeah, because it just means it's like you're actually putting in some time to just doodle around or to draw something, and that just, it's like your own little goal, and it's so helpful because you feel like you're not alone because you're listening to other people that are trying to do the same thing. And so that's really exciting to see that there is some sort of inspiration that's happening with people that are listening, and it's just thanks to you guys for really listening and not just like, you know looking at listening to it and forgetting about it. You're actually like taking it into consideration. And I know we're not perfect and we don't have all the answers, but we hope that we bring up some interesting topics that are food for thought that you can apply in your own life and you know and change and try different things that are based off of maybe the things we talk about, and hopefully at least one of the things per podcast helps you out of one of the things we talk about. And so just thank you guys for an amazing start to a year. And we look forward to being able to do more stuff, and to see, how much fun we can have together here on the podcast channel.
Yes. You guys are seriously incredible. Everything that Zach said, I say again. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for 2020. 2021 is going to be awesome. We want to hear your goals. Put them down in the comments. You can put them to the SMART acronym. You cannot put them to the SMART acronym. I'd prefer to see them to the SMART acronym because that helps. But you guys got this. I believe in you. If nobody else believes in you, just know Mr. Tux has got your back. And Zach as well.
Yeah, me as well. I believe in you guys. You guys got this year. It's all about what you decide to do. You can do anything you want to.
And with that, we'll head on out. So thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Have a great 2021. Thank you guys for everything once again.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next week.